Your air purifier is solving the wrong problem. It's trapping particles that were never the real threat while the actual contamination walks straight through the filter and sets up permanent residence in your lungs. Meanwhile, a $15 bamboo tube filled with sand and gravel is doing what a $1,000 HEPA machine can't touch. And the biology behind it is stranger than anything the filtration industry will ever admit. Because this isn't about catching dust. It's about growing an ecosystem that eats pollution before it reaches your face. Indoor air in most American homes contains 200 to 500 volatile organic compounds at any given moment. Formaldehyde, off-gases from plywood and particle board. Benzene floats up from stored gasoline and car exhaust tracked in on shoes. Trichloroethylene leaches out of dry-cleaned clothing hanging in closets. Your air purifier's activated carbon can absorb some of these molecules for a few weeks until the carbon saturates, then it stops working entirely. But a biological filter doesn't saturate. It gets hungrier. A 2019 study at the University of Washington proved that a simple potted plant system removed 80% of chloroform and benzene from a sealed test chamber in 72 hours. The control chamber, with a commercial HEPA purifier, removed 20%. The difference wasn't the filter media, it was the microbiology. Here's what most people miss. Plants don't filter air through their leaves. That's a myth that won't die. The stomata on leaves exchange carbon dioxide and oxygen. They don't process volatile organic compounds at meaningful scale. The real work happens in the root zone where bacteria and fungi colonize the soil. Those microbes metabolize airborne chemicals as food. They break benzene into carbon dioxide and water. They convert formaldehyde into formic acid and methanol, then digest those into harmless byproducts. It's not mechanical filtration, it's biological digestion. And the speed at which it happens depends entirely on surface area. Soil particles in a typical potted plant offer enormous surface area for microbial colonization. A single gram of healthy soil contains up to 10 billion bacterial cells. But here's the engineering problem that nobody solved until a NASA scientist got bored in 1989. Passive air contact with soil is pathetically slow. Air has to move through the root zone, not just past the pot. Dr. Bill Wolverton, working at NASA's Stennis Space Center, designed what he called the botanical air filter. He pulled air down through the soil using a small fan, forcing contaminated air into direct contact with the microbial layer. Removal rates jumped by 600%. The system wasn't theoretical. NASA installed prototypes in sealed habitats, and astronauts lived inside them for months. The air stayed clean without replacing a single mechanical filter. Wolverton published his results in 1989. The paper included full construction details, materials lists, and performance data. Then the air purifier industry did exactly what you'd expect. They ignored it completely. Because a system that improves over time instead of degrading is a terrible product for planned obsolescence. Your HEPA filter clogs, your carbon saturates, you buy replacements every 90 days, and the manufacturer banks on that cycle forever. A biological filter colonizes, matures, and gets more efficient in year 2 than it was in year 1. There's no replacement schedule to monetize. The core build is almost offensive in its simplicity. You need a watertight outer container, a smaller inner container with drainage holes, a layer of gravel at the bottom, activated carbon in the middle, and potting soil on top. The plant itself is optional. The roots help, but the microbial community does the heavy lifting whether there's a visible plant or not. A small computer fan pulls air down through the soil and out the bottom. That's the entire system. Wolverton's original design used a 12-volt fan running at 50 cubic feet per minute. Power consumption was under 5 watts, about the same as a phone charger. But here's where the biology gets genuinely strange. The microbial community that colonizes your filter isn't random. It's selected by the contamination you're feeding it. If your indoor air has high formaldehyde, digesting bacteria outcompete everything else and dominate the population. If you've got benzene-eating microbes take over. The filter customizes itself to your specific air quality profile without you doing anything. It's adaptive filtration, and no mechanical system on Earth can replicate that. A 2016 study out of the University of Technology, Sydney, tested this directly. Researchers built identical biological filters and exposed them to different chemical profiles. One filter got benzene, another got toluene, a third got formaldehyde. After 60 days, they analyzed the microbial DNA in each system. The populations were completely different. Each filter had bred the exact bacterial consortium needed to eat the pollution it was exposed to. Then they swapped the contamination sources. Within 2 weeks, the microbial populations shifted again, adapting to the new chemical profile. The system wasn't just filtering air, it was evolving. Your $1,000 purifier can't do that. It ships with a fixed filter, designed to catch particles above a certain size. It doesn't adapt, it doesn't improve, and it definitely doesn't eat volatile organic compounds for breakfast. The activated carbon helps for a while, but carbon adsorption is a surface reaction. Once the surface is full, the carbon is dead weight. Biological digestion is a metabolic reaction. The microbes reproduce, the population grows, and the filter gets stronger. That's the difference between a tool and a living system. Now, you're probably wondering why, if this actually works, you've never seen one for sale at any big box store in America. The answer is the same reason earth tubes disappeared from building codes and lime wash vanished from hardware stores. There's no consumable component. You build it once, and it runs for years without needing replacement parts. The filter industry's entire business model depends on recurring revenue from disposable media. A biological filter threatens that at the foundation. But the filter industry isn't the only group with motivation to bury this. Now, the indoor plant industry has spent 40 years selling the idea that a potted fern on your desk cleans your air. That's technically true in the narrowest possible sense, but the effect is so weak it's almost meaningless. A 2019 review study calculated that you'd need 93 potted plants in a 1,500 square foot home to match the air exchange rate of simply opening a window for an hour. But a single biological filter, running at 50 cubic feet per minute, processes the equivalent of 10 to 15 potted plants sitting passively on shelves. The difference is airflow. And once people understand that, the market for decorative desk plants collapses. The material cost for a functional biological air filter is under $15 if you're buying retail. A food-grade plastic tub costs $5. Gravel is $3. Activated carbon is $4 per pound, and you need less than half a pound. Potting soil is $3 for more than you'll use. A 12-volt computer fan is $6 online. Total build time is under an hour, even if you've never touched a drill. And the performance benchmarks are already published in peer-reviewed journals going back 35 years. What those journals also published is the part the industry really doesn't want you thinking about. The contamination load in your home isn't static. It's cumulative. Every time you bring in a new piece of furniture, every time you use cleaning products, every time you print documents on a laser printer, you're adding to the chemical background. Your mechanical purifier is playing defense, and it's losing ground every single day. A biological filter plays offense. It doesn't just reduce contamination, it digests it, and the microbial community adapts to whatever you throw at it. That's a fundamentally different game. Here's the construction sequence, step by step. No shortcuts, no guesswork. Start with a food-grade plastic storage tub, 10 to 15 gallons in capacity. The container needs to be opaque, or you'll grow algae on the interior walls within a month. Drill a 3-inch hole in the lid for the intake. Drill a matching hole on the opposite side for the outlet. Those holes need to be offset vertically by at least 2 inches, so the airflow path isn't a straight line through the media. You want the air to move through the filter, not around it. Layer 1 is gravel, 2 inches deep across the entire bottom surface. This creates the drainage zone and prevents the upper media from compacting under its own weight over time. The gravel also provides surface area for anaerobic bacteria to colonize in the lower oxygen zones of the container. Those organisms handle different chemical pathways than the aerobic population higher up. You're not just building one filter, you're building a vertical ecosystem with stratified microbial zones. Layer 2 is activated carbon, half an inch deep, spread evenly across the gravel. The carbon handles the initial volatile organic compound adsorption, while the bacterial population is still establishing itself in the first few weeks. Once the microbes take over, the carbon becomes secondary support. But in month 1, it's doing most of the work. Layer 3 is the biological media, which is just standard potting soil. You want 4 to 6 inches of depth here. The soil provides the organic matter, the moisture retention, and the physical structure the bacteria need to colonize at high density. This is where the actual digestion happens. The microbes living in this layer are processing formaldehyde, benzene, trichloroethylene, and dozens of other compounds your nose can't even detect. Use organic potting soil with no added fertilizers or chemicals. You're trying to grow bacteria, not tomatoes. The fertilizer will throw off the microbial balance, and you'll end up with algae blooms and anaerobic pockets that smell like sulfur. Plain soil works perfectly. Mount the 12-volt computer fan in the lid over the intake hole. The fan pulls air down through the media and pushes it out the outlet on the side. Airflow rate should be around 50 cubic feet per minute, which is standard for most 120 millimeter case fans. Seal the fan to the lid with silicone coolant to prevent air from bypassing the filter media. Every cubic foot of air that skips the soil is a cubic foot you didn't clean. The outlet connects to standard 3-inch flexible duct hose, the same material used in clothes dryer vents. Run that hose to wherever you want the cleaned air delivered. Some people run it into a return air duct. Others just vent it back into the same room. The placement doesn't matter as long as the air is moving. Power the fan with any 12-volt DC adapter you have lying around. An old phone charger works fine. Power consumption is under 5 watts, which works out to less than 50 cents a year in electricity. Your commercial purifier is pulling 50 to 120 watts, depending on the speed setting. That's a 10 to 24 times difference in operating cost for a system that performs better and lasts longer. Moisture management is the only maintenance task that actually matters. The soil needs to stay damp, but not saturated. Bone-dry soil kills the bacteria. Waterlogged soil goes anaerobic and starts smelling like a swamp. Check it once a week for the first month. Add a cup of water if the top layer feels dry to the touch. After the first month, the system self-regulates pretty well, and you're checking maybe twice a month. That's it. No filter replacements, no ultraviolet bulbs, no ionizer plates to clean. The bacteria reproduce faster than they die. The population is self-sustaining as long as there's moisture and airflow. A researcher in Norway ran one of these systems for 9 years in a university lab without ever replacing the soil. The microbial population density actually increased over time as the community matured. By year 5, the filter was processing volatile organic compounds 30% faster than it did in year 1. The system got better with age. The contamination sources in most American homes are well documented by this point. Pressed wood furniture releases formaldehyde for years after manufacturing. Carpets off-gas volatile organic compounds from the adhesive backing. Laser printers emit ultrafine particulate matter and ozone during operation. Cleaning products leave residual solvents in the air for hours after use. And all of that accumulates because your house is sealed. Modern building codes prioritize energy efficiency, which means airtight construction. That's great for your heating bill. It's terrible for your indoor air quality. The EPA's own data shows that indoor air in the average American home contains 2 to 5 times the pollutant concentration of outdoor air. In some cases, it's 100 times worse. You're living in a low-grade chemical exposure chamber, and the purifier you bought at the big box store is catching dust while the real contamination sails right through. The biological filter handles exactly what the mechanical purifier misses. It doesn't care about particle size, it cares about chemistry. And the chemistry is what's actually hurting you. Benzene is a known carcinogen. Formaldehyde is a respiratory irritant and a probable carcinogen. Trichloroethylene damages the central nervous system. These aren't hypothetical risks. They're measured concentrations in occupied residential spaces, published in peer-reviewed toxicology journals. The bacteria eat all of it. A single biological filter running in a 1,500 square foot home reduces formaldehyde concentrations by 60 to 80% within the first month of operation. Benzene drops by 50 to 70%. Trichloroethylene falls below detectable limits in most cases. Those numbers come from controlled studies, not marketing departments. The system works, and it works at a chemical level your HEPA filter will never touch. The cooling industry buried earth tubes because they eliminate the need for a compressor. The paint industry ignored lime wash because you can't patent calcium hydroxide. And the air purifier industry will never tell you about biological filtration because a $15 tub of dirt ruins the entire replacement filter business model. But the science has been public for 35 years, and the instructions are sitting right here. A buried pipe cools your house for free. A bucket of dirt cleans your air for a decade. Both systems were documented by your own government before the industries that profit from your ignorance decided you didn't need to know. Now you know. The $15 biological filter sitting on your workbench right now is processing volatile organic compounds that a $1,000 mechanical purifier can't even detect. It's improving while your HEPA filter is clogging. It's adapting while your carbon is saturating. And it's doing all of this on the power budget of a nightlight while the industry that sold you planned obsolescence pretends the science doesn't exist. Dr. Wolverton published the blueprint in 1989, the University of Technology. Sydney confirmed the adaptive microbiology in 2016. The Norwegian lab ran one for 9 years without touching the soil. The data isn't hidden, it's just inconvenient for anyone selling you replacement filters every 90 days. A food-grade tub, some gravel, a handful of activated carbon, potting soil, and a computer fan. That's the material list for a system that eats benzene, digests formaldehyde, and gets stronger every month you run it. The air purifier industry spent 35 years making sure you never connected those facts. Now the biology is sitting in front of you, and the choice is obvious.